Hey everybody, Rob Maurer here, and today we do have a pretty light Tesla news day, but we do have a big update on Giga Berlin, some news on Tesla charging, and a couple other items as well. Quick look at the stock. Tesla today was up 2% to close at $184.13, but not quite what you hope to see on a day where the Nasdaq was up 2.5%. It's a little bit of an underperformance from Tesla on the day today. From a macro perspective, possibly some more stability in the banking world today as 11 different banks have stepped in to deposit $30 billion in First Republic Bank. So we talked yesterday about how they were weighing their options, and all of your competitors depositing $30 billion, that is a nice option. So I'm sure there was some nudging from the government to do this, but anything to reduce panic, probably good for most banks at this point. Remember, part of the solution for Silicon Valley Bank's failure was to increase the basically insurance fee that banks are paying to the FDIC. So while another bank's failure decreases your competition, also those deposits have to go somewhere, so they're probably going to these other banks, these larger banks. It also comes with the downside of reduced stability and increased costs. So pros and cons for the banks, but I think for everybody else, the increased stability is welcome. All right, before we move into Tesla news, I do want to comment on a couple of things from yesterday's episode, a couple of quick corrections. I mentioned that update email that I sent out, just want to make that clear. Right now, those have only gone out to accredited investors or qualified purchasers. Unfortunately, it's just a regulatory restriction, so over time, I want to work towards broadening that out to non-accredited investors, but that is the current state of things, so I meant to make that clear yesterday. Apologies for missing that. And then I also wanted to clarify something on the Volkswagen ID2. I kind of flubbed my comments there a little bit, talking about Osborning. What I was thinking, but doing a poor job of saying, is that Volkswagen, with this announcement, is obviously willing to Osborne themselves to an extent. They instead have chosen to more highly value the marketing value that they're getting right now for this product that still is 2 to 3 years away at best. And even then you have to ramp production. So why are you trying to sell this car so early? If it's a good product, you won't have to. You would probably more highly value not Osborning your current product lineup. And that is the strategy we have seen Tesla take. That to me tells me that Tesla believes a lot more in that future product's ability to sell itself without having to market it so early, like we're seeing here from Volkswagen. And then probably the only other angle to consider there is that Volkswagen may not just be trying to Osborne themselves, but also detract from competitors like Tesla's ability to sell their current lineup, hoping people will say, oh, I'll just wait for that ID2 in a couple of years. In general, though, the contrasting style that we see so clearly here between Volkswagen and Tesla, I think speaks to each company's confidence in itself. So hopefully that's a little bit more clear what I was trying to get across on that point. All right, let's move on to the update on Giga Berlin. This is being reported today by RBB24. They say that Tesla has submitted an application for the expansion of Giga Berlin. They say this application was submitted yesterday, Wednesday, and confirmed to RBB today by Tesla. And they say that, quote, according to Tesla, the application for partial approval that has now been submitted to the Responsible State Office for the Environment primarily relates to changes to the existing plant. It serves to further expand production on the factory premises. As a spokesman for the state office announced, Tesla has applied for an increase in production capacity from the current 500,000 vehicles per year to 1 million vehicles per year in the future. The production facilities required for this are to be built on the existing factory premises, end quote. So there we go, Tesla applying to double the factory output. We've been talking about this for a long time, that eventually Giga Berlin could scale up to as high as 2 million vehicles per year. Right now, of course, Tesla has just crossed the 4,000 per week or roughly 200,000 vehicle per year threshold. The current factory is scaled for around 500,000 vehicles per year. This article does mention a couple of times that this will be done on the current premises or the existing factory premises. So it's not really clear language on if that means in the same building or just on the Giga Berlin factory premises in terms of the land. So I'm sure at some point we'll get a little bit more information on that, but the article does also note that in addition, Tesla has, quote, optimized planning and production processes in such a way that the amounts of fresh water previously used as a basis and contractually agreed are also sufficient for this expansion, end quote. So that is reportedly coming from Tesla itself in the application. They also reportedly said that this should be achieved through complete treatment and reuse of wastewater generated during production. So when we think about this application and we think back to the permitting process that Tesla's gone through already on Giga Berlin, hopefully we're starting to get some, economies of permitting scale here or something, where, okay, if this is on the current premises, then hopefully that clears some permitting burden in that regard. And then obviously water has been a contentious issue, so if their current water supply covers their demands here, that should be a big relief in terms of permitting burden as well. Now, that doesn't mean that some other issues can't come up, probably will, but Tesla should be in a much better spot here than the first time around. So hopefully Tesla gets to that 500,000 vehicle rate later this year and then carries right on through in 2024 towards this new million vehicle mark. Separately from the permitting process, possibly a little bit more fun, Tesla on LinkedIn today sharing a video of a slide that they have at Giga Berlin. So showing off a quick way to get down a level at Giga Berlin. Tesla is certainly not the first company to have a slide at work, but a little bit more flashy here. Looks like some interior lighting there on the slide. Kind of reminiscent of the Plaid or Roadster launch tunnels that we have seen Tesla use when demonstrating those vehicles. So I don't think we've got a roller coaster yet. Elon had once mentioned putting one of those, I think, at Fremont, but in the meantime, slides. All right, next we've got an update on Tesla charging. This is another JD Power survey result. So this is their 2023 US Electric Vehicle Experience Survey, specifically the home charging study. Since they began this study, Tesla has always been the winner here, and that is the case again for the third time in a row. Again, this is home charging, so evaluating things like the wall connector and Tesla's overall satisfaction index rating here, 790, pretty significantly ahead of second place Grizzly with a score of 757. The spread there between first and second is as big as the spread between second and sixth. Some other notable ones in here, we've got Rivian in 6th place, score of 728, Ford in 10th, 699, Electrify America and Chevrolet the next couple there, closing things out with scores a little bit below 700. Sort of interesting, the overall home charging satisfaction did decline year over year, but it sounds like one of the criteria is cost. So with energy prices on the rise, sounds like respondents were less satisfied on costs. Seems a little bit weird to kind of attribute that to these companies, but this is actually something that Tesla is thinking a little bit about. They talked at Investor Day about their Tesla electricity plan in Texas and how they're introducing $30 per month unlimited overnight charging. So very few things that Tesla is not thinking about. And then in addition with this survey, when averages decline, you always have to wonder about the mix. So in this case, maybe the mix was a little bit more broad than last year, which would put a lower weight on Tesla's results for the average. And something like that can obviously pull averages down. So in general, just something to keep in mind with things like this. All right, last couple of things here. We've got an update from Polestar's CEO on Twitter saying that very soon they are going to be announcing the next edition of their Polestar 2. From the promo video, it looks like this will just be a higher level trim. They've got something called the BTS, so maybe an update there. From the Polestar Twitter account, it sounds like whatever this update is will come on March 21st, so something to keep an eye out for next week. Lastly then, just a quick update on SpaceX. I know we're all very anxious and waiting for the Starship orbital test flight. SpaceX's VP of Commercial Sales, as covered here by Jeff Faust, saying that they are quote-unquote so close to launching Starship, they're just waiting for the FAA license so that they can announce the launch date. So hopefully a small number of weeks away at this point. I think SpaceX was hoping to do that in March. Might be a little bit tight on that, but we are getting very close. So more to look forward to on that, but that will wrap it up for today. So as always, thank you for listening. Make sure you're subscribed and signed up for notifications. You can also find me on Twitter at Tesla Podcast, and we'll see you tomorrow for the Friday, March 17th episode of Tesla Daily. Thank you.